Hey, Philip, welcome to the Hidden White podcast. Great to have you here today.
Thanks for having me on. It's an honor.
No, man, a pleasure to have you here today. And I'm looking forward to this conversation. Add a little bit into your background, the company. You're the CEO of, is it Leela Quantum Tech?
Correct. Yes.
I pronounced that right, Leela Quantum Tech. So you do frequency medicine using quantum energy, which I don't really understand at all. So I think it's going to be an exciting conversation point today.
Yes, I'm happy to talk about all of that and certainly get into the questions you or the audience may have.
Yeah, cool. So tell us a bit about your background, what you do, and what led you to becoming the CEO of this company.
Yeah, I used to be in the corporate world, in corporate Europe and in corporate America, even vice president at T-Mobile, responsible for 14 countries. In parallel, I started to realize that my rational and very materially oriented side was just a tiny part of who I really am. And so I started to really get into energetics, started to learn how to help people energetically. So I went through shamanic workshops and, past life regression trainings, and also learned how different healing techniques are performed while I was still in corporate. And at some point, that stretch became too big because I realized literally who I am, and that role that I was playing was not really coming fully from the inside. So in 2016, that was the last time where I was in corporate, and then I started to just work from the heart and from my own calling, if you will. But everything that I had experienced over the time really led to the fact that I started quantum technology and frequency medicine. One aspect that happened in parallel to the history I just framed, that was my wife, who was diagnosed with chronic Lyme disease in
Mm.
2010. And when she was diagnosed, she had it already for 5 years. And then I always tried to find the next best thing that could help her. So classic biohacking, which for me went really into bioenergy hacking as well. And long story short, she healed her Lyme disease completely. There's no symptoms left, nothing. And yeah, at some point, it all culminated in the creation of the Leela quantum technology, which is very cutting edge. So it's not anything that you find out there everywhere. It's something you may find out there everywhere in 10 years, but not quite yet.
Well, yeah, it's a fairly new technology then, is it?
Yes,
Proven
that's true.
technology. I mean, having an experience like that with your wife and going through something, what to a lot of people might sound a little bit woo-woo in your words earlier on. Having that experience obviously would deepen your belief, that's for sure. How do you expose this to the world and get them to see the benefits of this? I mean, is there science that's gone into it and proven studies?
Yeah, so obviously, what I've been talking to and, energetics, that's something that for a lot of people sounds woo-woo. Why woo-woo? It's just because it's something that we're
Not
not
familiar
so
with.
used to. If we just look around, that's not the typical narrative that we're exposed to. And uh, you know, that's the only reason why it's woo-woo. It's still reality, though. Sorry for my dog barking here in the background. She will
Oh yeah.
stop in a second. And uh, it's really scientific in the end because the woo-woo part is just the unknown. We don't really know how these things work. It's very new to us, but then the science can actually prove the results and show what is going on. And we have a ton of science actually, and not just like one area of science, but multiple different areas. We'll go into that. We've looked at the blood, we've looked at heart rate variability, water structure studies have been done. ATP production study, which ATP production is it's the energy production of the human cells, as an example. All those were done, and we're talking placebo-controlled, randomized, double-blind, and single-blind studies. So it gets very scientific, where we
Mm.
can show these results, but that it works and how it works, it's still a little unknown to us because it's not it's not been around for a while, which is the same. If you look back with the internet, when the internet first came up, with the first iPhone, those are all things, especially the internet, I think that in the beginning, no one understood. And then a few people understood it, and then more people understood it. And then still in, I think, 2006, even, no, may have been earlier, but at least very early on, people in the US would already recognize email as something up and coming. And in Europe, everyone was still saying, well, why would I need email? I can just write a postcard, right? And look where we're today. So those are things that are new. It's a technology that first no one understands, and then they get it
Yeah.
gradually.
How did you come across quantum energy? Is that what you call it?
Yeah, it's quantum energy, quantum energy is the energy behind the matter. It's below subatomic. It's the same energy that you have in your cells, that I have in my cells, that every physiological organism has at core in the cells. So that is the quantum energy, how we define it. And we have been able to concentrate and harness quantum energy in a way never done before, or possibly someone has done it, but it's not public or available to anyone. And now with this concentrated fashion, you can tap into that field and start to promote changes on various different levels. So it's very scientific on one hand, but you can also come to it from an energetic standpoint, because you can feel that energy. Literally, you can feel that energy. It's nothing you can see. You cannot touch it, right? So at that point, it just leaves the five senses, but people can see it. People can literally feel it and experience it that way.
Okay. So how did you come across this field of work? Like, what was it? What sort of realm was it in?
Through the healing journey that I was on myself,
Yeah.
when I went through shamanic workshops and through learning various healing techniques, I've gotten to know some of the most amazing healers in the world that could do things that, are miracle-like, right?
Mm.
So how do they do that? They do that by using the quantum field, by using specific frequencies to bring systems that are out of balance back into balance. That's the issue. Any disease, any trauma, anything that we kind of suffer from, or a problem we have, something then is out of balance. And you
Right.
can bring these things back into balance, or help bring things back into balance. So then the idea came up, well, if super gifted and trained people can do that, wouldn't we be able to also create technology that can do that? And I must say, now we're talking technology, so now it sounds like something artificial. We're actually working with the real quantum energy, so it's nothing artificial. It actually could not be more natural. It's the most natural type of energy that you could even work with. It's fully harmonious with the human cells, and that's why we have also these amazing results. But that's how I came to it. And then it
Yeah.
was a long process of actually developing it.
So what sort of tools do we use? Not healers then. We're talking about instruments that we're using to help put across that quantum energy. Is that right? Or the frequencies? Like, how does this work?
Yeah, so I mean, we have created specific devices. We call them the blocks, the quantum blocks and infinity blocks. That's the actual extension of our technology that contains a super highly concentrated quantum energy field. And
How do
you
you
can
do that? Like, how do you concentrate quantum energy into a field? Might
well,
be patent and
that's
technology, but
yeah, so that's the recipe that I'm not gonna disclose. That's the
yeah,
only thing I don't talk about. Everything else I'm happy to answer, but
sure.
that's the one piece I can't talk about.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. So you've got these blocks. Keep going. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, so and with these blocks, you can do multiple things. First of all, you can just put it in your home or office and don't do anything with it. And it harmonizes the whole field around it. They have different radius. So the infinity block has a radius of up to a kilometer even. And within about 400 meters, which is maybe 1,250 feet, more or less,
Yeah.
it harmonizes all potentially harmful frequencies, which include EMF. So whether it's 4G, 3G, 5G, Wi-Fi or microwaves, all of those waves cause destructive interference to the human body and also to animals and plants, frankly.
Yeah.
And that gets neutralized through the appearance of the block's energy. And it can be measured. And it actually, frankly, works in 100% of the cases, as it has been shown in all of those studies.
So the block is just constantly putting out this energy to help minimize these effects that are coming into our environment.
Yes, think of it, the analogy would be, you hit me in the face and that hurts. So now I would ask you to please not hit me in the face, but provide some acupressure on my neck. If you do that, it's also touch, it's still you doing something, there's an interaction, but it's not detrimental anymore, it's now beneficial. So that is pretty much what happens on the energetic level. The energies, the frequencies get converted into something that's not destructive anymore, but actually supportive. But that's just one application. That's just, maybe 5% of what the blocks can do. But that's a main reason why people buy it. There's a lot more to it.
Can you measure the output of this energy from the block in any way, or is it just through the healing effects that people have when they're in close proximity to it?
At this point, there's not yet any scientific tool that can measure that. So science plays catch up often with these things, and hopefully within the next 5 years, someone actually will come up with a technology, maybe even us, to be able to measure the field itself. But now, at this point, we can only measure the effects, which is very easy to do because obviously, you expose some cells, you expose a human, an animal, a plant, with a block, and you could see what it does. And you have a control group, you do it randomized, placebo controlled, and all of that. But yeah, the actual field, currently, no one has the capability to measure that yet.
Okay, so what are some of the studies that you've done through, the trial groups with regards to these blocks and the benefits they've had?
Yeah, so the latest one that was done was an ATP production study. So ATP is the energy production of the cells. So we knew that the cells get more energy from the outside, from the blocks, or from other devices we have. But then the question was, do the cells themselves actually start to increase and uplift their energy production? And you can measure that. There are labs out there that are specialized on just testing human cells, different types of cells, in terms of their ATP production and their wound healing process and all of that. So one of those labs in the US did this study. It was randomized and double blind with hundreds of thousands of cells. So they had a control group. That control group was not charged. And then the other group, also hundreds of thousands of cells, was then charged by our technology. And there was an increase in ATP production of 20 to 25%, which is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So anyone that knows anything about ATP production will tell you that is an absolutely amazing result, especially because it even happens instantly or almost instantly. So within minutes, it ramps up. So that is one. We're currently working on wound healing studies. Not going to get too much into that, rather about what we have already proven. So the blood is another area that has been a big focus of ours. So live blood analysis was performed very early on to test our products. And then we realized, okay, well, it works every time. But now you can't just show people one before and after picture and then people believe that. So we went to one of the best professionals here in the US, as well as to the Besa Institute in Austria, and both of them did randomized, sham-controlled, double-blind studies and single-blind studies with our tech, and showed that within only 10 minutes, the blood of every test person in 100% of the cases significantly improved. And here we're talking.
What are you talking about when you're talking about blood improvement? What does that mean?
Red blood cells improved in every way. Stage 1 and stage 2 of blood clotting was able to be reversed in just only 10 minutes. White blood cell activity and motility increased. So white blood cell activity and motility is important because white blood cells are part of the immune system. It's kind of your force. If you get sick and you don't have that force active, yeah, you have a problem. So in Wi-Fi, for example, tends to paralyze white blood cells. So it was shown even that when Wi-Fi was turned on, what happens to the blood and started to clot, white blood cell activity started to stop basically. And then when our device was introduced, all of that got reversed, and actually more than that. So not only all got reversed, it was actually even better than the very first test before Wi-Fi was even turned on, even though Wi-Fi was still on. So that was quite fascinating. They also found things like parasitic load decreased in the blood and things like that. And there have been 5 of those studies by now. And so far, in 100% of the cases, these significant results were shown.
What are the
But then there
size of the
were other,
groups that you're looking at?
excuse me?
What are the size of the groups that you're doing these studies on?
We always start with only 4 test persons with a pilot study if it's a new field where we don't really know what happens, to see what the effects are. And then it gets ramped up quickly to statistical significance. So with the blood, I think there have been 35, 40, 45 people by now that have been tested. And again, we're talking 100% success rate. And not just some small changes of like 5 or 10%. Those are absolutely significant changes that even someone that doesn't know anything about live blood analysis, they see the pictures, they'll be like, oh my God, this is crazy, right? And because it's the actual blood in real time that you're looking at. It's not some fake stuff. It's the actual human blood. And
do you guys share
then there are
videos
other,
of these studies online? Do you share videos and things like that, images?
yeah, so the Dr. Rubik in the US, she usually shoots just pictures, hundreds of pictures. And then she puts them in the study. And then the Base Institute also takes pictures, but they also took several videos. And you can literally see in real time what happens when you turn Wi-Fi on, how the blood changes, how the red blood cells start to clot. And then, once you introduce our device, you see also in real time what is actually happening to the blood. So yeah, you can absolutely see that in video. It's fascinating, frankly. So that was one big set of studies. Then, another interesting one for the listeners, I don't know if you know the Emoto Institute in Japan. You may have heard about it. Masaru Emoto was the famous Japanese scientist that showed, I think about 20 years ago, that you can change the energy in water. And he found a method to actually visualize that through freezing water. So they froze water, and then they were able to show the crystals in the water, and you can expose them with different methods, the water, and then see changes. So nowadays they have a big office in Tokyo, and they test products and they do their research and promote, healthy, good water. So we sent our products there and they tested them, and they found that our quantum block, which is the weakest of our blocks, was able to structure and optimize water faster than any other device or method they had seen before. That was actually in 3 minutes, and it ramped up from one beautiful crystal that they could visualize in the water to 5 beautiful crystals, which doesn't tell you anything, didn't tell me anything either. But in their world, that's absolutely significant. And it was so significant for them that they called me up and asked if they could import our products to Japan and distribute them there, which they had never done in their 2 decades history. So they're not a shop or anything. They don't distribute products usually. And since 10 months, they've been exclusively importing our products. So yeah, that's just a quick overview of some of these studies that have been done. But heart rate variability is maybe another one that people may be interested in. So that has been studied as well.
Okay.
Heart rate variability is directly linked to the autonomic nervous system. So, yeah.
Wow, lots more to come by the sounds of it.
Well, I mean, research is for us the biggest field that we play in, really, because we want to find out more, because the technology is so cutting edge still that there's more to come. There's more to find out. Literally every month we have new things that are reported from our community of what they see. Food allergies, for example, is right now one of the biggest topics that we research, because it has been shown in many, many cases that the technology was able to reduce the allergy response by 65 to 95%, no matter what the substance was that was consumed, whether it was gluten, lactose, or things like that, crab meat.
Okay, so is any of this being incorporated into the medical industry? Are doctors using it, anything like that?
Yeah, so there are actually multiple doctors and clinics using the technology already in the US and in Europe. Also professional athletes. We have multiple world champions and Olympic medalists, and here one of the top 5 pole vaulters in the US that use our technology to further improve their performance, right? It's obviously not the only thing you should do if you want to be in really good shape, but it's an additional layer now that wasn't accessible before. I would say mainstream clinics are probably not using our products yet because they probably have a hard time understanding that there's something that can actually promote positive changes. But yeah, you have lots of functional medicine clinics around the world actually that are already using it.
Is this in nature somewhere? Like, can we find this sort of energy healing promotions through nature? Like
through what?
Nature. Like obviously
nature.
You've got these blocks that
yeah.
you've created, but I mean obviously it's got to be naturally occurring. I mean, is it?
Yeah, so it's through just sitting in nature, you're not going to get that benefit, but with your own consciousness, you can ultimately do all of these things. So, but that's, I would say 99.5% of the people have completely forgotten how to actually really leverage our consciousness and how to fully access our consciousness, right? So what most people are living in is the box of the 5 senses and just a narrative living from the head and from the brain, but not even realizing who and what we are. But as you do that, and as you expand more into that and unlock more of your own consciousness, you can do quite amazing things. And everyone can do that, frankly. Everyone can learn that. But either you need to be born like that, like my wife, for example, who was born with this ability, or you need to be very, very gifted, or you need to train for that. Because, if you sit in a chair for 3 weeks and you don't use your legs and then you want to walk, you won't be able to walk the way that you walked before. Same thing here. You need to train it like a muscle that you haven't used for a long time, but you can. So our products are not there they're really there to be a bridge to access higher levels of consciousness. That's maybe the woo-woo part. That's why I started with the science part first, but you can calibrate our blocks on the Hawkins scale, and they calibrate higher than any other products out there that are publicly available. So that is the consciousness aspect, and that's actually the level that it works on. The physical is literally just a result of that.
Right. So it's enhancing our consciousness.
Excuse me?
It's enhancing our consciousness.
Yeah, so it invites you basically to enhance it because it can't do it for you, but that's kind of what happens. So I don't know if you've ever met an enlightened person or someone that is at least, maybe like the Dalai Lama or someone like that. If you're in the same room with such a person for a while and you walk out of that, you vibrate higher, you're more uplifted. And that's kind of an analogy. That's because if there's something that vibrates on a very high level, it kind of invites you to also start vibrating higher. Whereas lower vibrations is, for example, fear, right? So if you put people in fear, they start to contract energetically, they start to vibrate lower. And so that's the absolute opposite of that. And fear is just one of these examples.
So how do we practice this high level of consciousness? What are some things that we could do every day to?
Yeah. So obviously you can use these products, but if you didn't want to use these products, then you have free things available that you can do every day, right? There's meditation, there's amazing yoga practices you can do. Obviously, walking on the beach barefoot or on grass, connecting with nature, connecting with yourself. those are all things that, help quite a bit, actually. It's completely underestimated what these simple things can do if you do them on a more regular basis. But we tend to be just caught up in our daily lives and paying our bills and all that, and just watching what the media tells us. And that is kind of distracting from the real inner power that we have.
Yeah, I like it. So where can people find out more about this technology, mate, and your products in particular?
Yep. So, we have a website, leelaq.com. That's leelaq.com. And you can check it out there. But then, I always recommend the Telegram group. We have a Telegram group. You can actually find it on the website. There's a link to Telegram, and it's a private group because you won't be able to find it if you search on Telegram, but you find it through the website. And there's over 6,500 people by now in the group that use our products, that talk about it. And, don't take my word for it. Just ask other people, what have you experienced? What do you recommend for this? What have you done and seen and all of that? So real people can give you real answers.
Nice.
So that's a good way to start.
Doing your own research into it. Cool. I'll stick the link in the show notes for everyone to have a look at. And Philip, thanks for coming on the show today.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Guys, check it all out at thehiddenwire.com. Until next time, peace, passion, and purpose. See you soon.